So when I was a sophomore in high school, I had a teacher, and his name to the public was Frederick LaChapelle, but to us kids, he was just known as Chief. He taught global history, and I walked into his room expecting to have to read a textbook and memorize lots of facts and spit them out on tests and quizzes, and that is not exactly what happened in his class. You see, Chief believed that all learners learned in their own way and needed supports, and to be able to show what they knew best, they as learners had to have agency and figure that out. And so he allowed us to read the chapters ourselves with guidelines and then create study guides for what he called quests, which was probably a combination of quizzes and tests. And I remember making giant murals of all the information that was in the chapters, and I was allowed to use that on the quizzes and tests, which I realize now what he was setting up for us for the real world, because in the real world, you don't memorize facts and just spit it back. You use tools, you try to figure out things for yourself, and you share information. He had on his wall 3 words: responsibility, imagination, and expectation, and those actually sit currently in my classroom. When I became a teacher, he is the reason I went into teaching, because he was the first teacher I've ever had to show me what's possible. And so therefore, I wrote a whole article thanking him for what he had given me. He gave me a bridge to cross over so that way I could be that person for my learners. And the day that it published, I went to give it to him in his classroom, and I found him crying at his desk because he had just read it, and I didn't know this, but he was retiring that year, and he had felt like he didn't make a difference to anyone. And my article really showed him the power of what he had done. And so I hope to carry on the legacy that he gave me.